Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing today? Welcome back for another video. It is your friend Sophia from A Journey from Fat to Fit, and I'm here with another post-workout chat. So I just got finished working out. I had a great workout. I'm glad that I pushed and got it done because I was definitely not in the mood today. I've already told you guys that as I get closer and closer to my cycle, my desire for physical activity goes down the drain. My desire for eating healthy, all the things that I need to be doing goes out the window, except for like journaling, mindfulness, all that stuff. I still do that stuff. Um, but it brings me to the topic of our talk today, of our chat today, which is seek a second opinion, get a second opinion. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So I told you I didn't feel like working out. And so I put the baby down for a nap and I'm like, all right, this is a good time for me to work out. I went, got my clothes on, and then as I was gonna go upstairs up to my workout area to work out, I was like, I don't feel like it. So I sat on the couch, right? Then I sit there and, I call my husband, or he called me. I'm not sure who called who, but I ended up on the phone with my husband. And, just telling him how I was feeling, talk about our day, And then he was, speaking words of encouragement to me, because I'm telling you, I was in a place. So, and really frustrated with myself too, because it's like I want to press, but I was having difficulty pressing. And sometimes the amount of effort you have to put in changes, the amount of energy it takes to push you forward, it changes. So, in those times where it feels like you have lead feet, it's really good to be able to have somebody that can encourage you for sure. And that's where it's beneficial to have like an accountability partner or somebody like that. My husband isn't necessarily my accountability partner for this journey, but he is my partner. He's my husband. So, I'm glad that he can step in and help me when needed. But so when I speak the second opinion is not the accountability partner. It's not. Before we get to the second, let's see who the first opinion is. The first opinion is your mind. Your first opinion, it's your emotions. That's the first opinion. It's how you feel. It's what you want to do, right? So I think so often we think of like tired as like a physical thing. And yes, fatigue, tiredness absolutely can be a physical thing, but it can also be a mental state of being as well. So, and you really don't know the difference until you try to do something physical and see if it alleviates, right? So, because what I find is when I don't feel like working out, if I say I'm tired or whatever, if I do it anyway, 9 times out of 10, I start feeling energized. I start feeling like, my strength coming as I'm working out. So to me, because there's that shift, the tiredness that I was feeling was a state of a mind. It wasn't a reflection on my physical capability. So, and I say this to individuals that don't have some type of chronic illness, right? If you have some type of chronic illness that, and one of your symptoms is fatigue and tiredness, then I'm not talking to you, right? Then you may need to rest, right? But for those of us who are in good health, relatively good health, if you're tired, a lot of times it's just because you just don't feel like doing it. It's your mind that's tired because it just doesn't want to do what it needs to do. But if you press, it will change 9 times out of 10. And that's what happened to me today. So the second opinion is your body, how it feels, what's happening, what's happening in your body as you start to move, right? That's why it's important to pay attention to your body. That's why the idea of mindfulness is very important. It's not only something that's good for us in our mental health as we begin to think about how we are in our surroundings, how our environment is affecting us, to identify our triggers, all of those things. That helps with our mental health. It also helps with our physical health as well, because if we are mindful of the changes that are happening in our body, and we see that there's like an increase in energy, we see that we are getting through the workout, we're feeling good, then we can deduce that it was a mental thing. It wasn't a physical thing. But so often we don't even get to the second opinion. We've already decided that we weren't going to do it because of how we felt, that we weren't going to do it because we didn't want to, right? And that's why it's important to get the second opinion. So I encourage you to seek a second opinion. Don't let your thoughts and feelings hinder you from doing the things that you want to do, right? And I know in the moment you may not want to work out, but you have to compare the desires. Does the desire to not do what you need to do in order to achieve the goal that you said that you wanted outweigh the main goal, what you said that you wanted? If it doesn't, you don't want it. If it doesn't, you don't want it. And that's okay too. If that's your decision. If that's your decision, like, look, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. That goal is not important to me anymore. If I got to do this, I don't want to do this, whatever that is. But then reassess and then change the goal then. Because ultimately you'll be holding you'll be attempting to hold yourself accountable for something that you don't want to do. And that's just going to create an environment where you just feel like a failure, where you feel like you are not making any progress, where you feel don't feel proud of yourself for what you are doing, even if you're not necessarily seeing the physical changes. There are changes happening. So that would be my advice. So, which leads me to my next thing. You know, you seek the second opinion, right? You move your body anyway, and you find out, great, body's not tired, mind was. Okay. Also, we need to be kind to ourselves, right? We need to really be patient with ourselves. This is a process. It's not going to happen overnight, because I was frustrated with myself beforehand. And I mean, there's still a few days in a month, but I doubt I'm going to hit that weight loss goal for the month. And my goal was to lose 10 pounds this month, and I didn't. And I was on track to do it, but then my cycle came, and that was ridiculous. And rebounding from there was tough. I didn't gain any weight, but I only lost 2 pounds this month. And I don't want to make it seem like that's nothing, because it's something. And I do see changes in my body. So I do have to be forgiving with myself in that. So I do see changes. The issue is I haven't been tracking my my measurements. So that's something I want to incorporate. And I was doing that for a while, and then recently I haven't. So I have some old measurements that I took. So I'm going to take some new measurements today or tomorrow, so that now I can start looking at the changes that way, because I do see it in my body that things are moving around, but it's not necessarily showing up on the scale like I would like to see. But I also have to be honest with myself. My eating has not been 100%, you know. It hasn't been terrible, but it hasn't been great. And when I have made choices that weren't the best, most of those choices were healthier alternatives to what I would normally choose. So I have noticed a shift in my eating. So it's not like I've been eating poorly. It's still just there's some room for improvement. Okay, so as I look back to kind of reframe my mind, so I'm not feeling bad about myself and my progress or lack thereof, I have to really look at what has changed. I have to look at the positives of the situation. No, I didn't lose the 10 pounds that I wanted to lose, but I have noticed that I've lost some weight in this area. It's a little smaller. It looks a little smaller here. My stomach area looks a little smaller. My butt looks more together. So I'm noticing changes. I could feel my thighs are like a little stiffer. So there are changes happening. It's just not on the scale. And the scale is not the end all be all, even though ultimately I do want to lose weight. But losing fat and gaining muscle is what I'm doing right now. And that may cause the scale to move a little slower. And I am realistic about that part of the process. So I'm trying to be forgiving to myself, give myself some grace. So I keep a calendar in my workout area of how I'm feeling during my workouts, if I worked out, blah blah blah, my goals, my weight, whatever. I write all this stuff on there. And so I looked through, and out of the 30 days of the month, we still have a couple of more days. But I will be working out tomorrow and the next day. Even if I have to push, it will be happening. But if I count those days, this month I've managed physical activity 22 days this month. And I think that's great. So I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of the changes that I've made, that I'm continuing to make. I'm proud of the choices that I'm making. Like I said, there's still room for improvement, but I'm not going to focus too heavily on what I could do better. I'm going to take a moment and be proud of myself for what I have done, because I don't want to discourage myself. And I think that's important, is that we don't discourage ourselves, because this is a process, a mindset shift that needs to occur. There's still routines that need to change, lifestyles that we're attempting to change. It really affects our entire being, and it affects many areas of our world, our immediate world. So, and beyond, because you don't know who you're influencing. You don't know who's watching you, especially when you're on something like this. But even in your own personal life, people watch you. People are paying attention. Not that we care really what anyone thinks of us, but we would hope to be a positive influence to those around us, right? Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Seek a second opinion. Don't let your feelings, your thoughts be the decision-making system for your life. If you have goals that you've made for yourself, push towards them. Seek a second opinion. See if your body is in line with the thoughts, which means that if your mind says you're tired and you start doing your workout and you're like, oh, I can't do this, I'm so drained, I can't do this, then that's your body telling you need to rest too. So rest. That means rest is needed, right? But if your mind is telling you you're tired and you go to start working out and then you start feeling energized, you're in the groove, you're doing it, then that means the body ain't tired. The body is not tired. So don't let that hold you back from being able to reach your goals. Will you be able to do it 100% of the time? Probably not. But try for most of the time. Try for most of the time. And if you don't have most, try for some of the time. You got to start where you are. And I hope that this is an encouragement to you today. Give yourself grace. Be patient with yourself as you're going through this process. I'm going to be patient with myself as I go through this process. And I will continue to share with you guys how I'm doing. And I think maybe next time I'll give you guys a tour of the workout space. It's not like anything special. I don't got no Smith's machine or nothing like that. And I still have a couple of things I want to add. But it's just my little space. But I hope that you all have a beautiful day. I hope that you do something today that will push you closer to your goals. And we've got this. We can do this. All right. We've got this. Until next time, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.